well, it's called gay pop. And they were like, what's that? And I was like, it's like K-pop, right? But it's gay pop.
Pop star, who previously identified as a lesbian, revealed that she and Chris are not platonic anymore after lots of public flirting.
She was once the face of glitter, bows, and bubblegum pop. Now, JoJo Siwa's grinding on stage, cosplaying a 1950s housewife, and singing like she gargled gravel for breakfast.
I just think it's hilarious that JoJo is one of the worst dancers on the team, and you're critiquing my kid.
Get her done. I'm not gonna play with her.
And fans aren't just confused, they're worried.
People have a magnifying glass and a microscope, and they look and they judge. I think a lot of people have a lot of things to say, and I think I've also done some things that have fueled that fire.
Her new relationship with a man 10 years older, her sudden shift from CEO of gay pop to trad wife in training, the way she looks to her boyfriend for approval in every interview. Is JoJo Siwa having a breakdown? Or is she being handled?
It's really hard because people tear it apart. You know, I think I just love connecting, and I love people, and I love getting to know people. And when someone comes into your life and you enjoy it, you know what I mean? Like, you can tell.
Because what started as a cringy rebrand is starting to look a lot more sinister. Let's get into it. Before JoJo Siwa was clumsily grinding in cat ears on national television, she was a 7-year-old with bleached hair, glitter glued to her scalp, and a mother who treated childhood like a marketing campaign. JoJo didn't grow up, she launched. Her rise began on Dance Moms, where she was shoved in front of cameras and told to sparkle on cue. Most kids get a birthday party, JoJo got a production deal. Her entire personality was pre-packaged, loud, loud again, and drenched in rainbows. And it worked. By age 10, she had a licensing empire. By 14, she was a multi-millionaire with her own branded merchandise at Walmart.
This set is available at Walmart. You guys, you know I've won Monopoly for my entire life.
But behind the bows was a kid who never had time to figure out who she was, only who she was supposed to be. Her mother, Jessalyn Siwa, has been accused by fans of being the architect of it all, a classic momager, more focused on brand than daughter. And JoJo, ever the performer, never really rebelled. She played her role loud and proud, while the world watched a little girl get swallowed by the business machine. Years later, JoJo herself admitted on a podcast that she was told what to say, how to act, and when to act wild. Her exact words? "I did what my boss told me to do." But here's the question. Does she even know when she stopped being the boss of her own life? Because what came next wasn't just a rebrand, it was an identity collapse in real time. And the signs only got darker from there. JoJo Siwa wasn't just a child star, she was a product line. By the time she hit her teens, she wasn't just doing YouTube videos, she was selling bed sheets, dolls, backpacks, microphones, even JoJo branded dog food. There wasn't a single part of her life that didn't come with a price tag and a barcode. And who do you think controlled all that? Behind every sparkly bow was a legal contract. Behind every dance video, a silent boardroom. Her image was tightly managed, down to the tone of her voice and the pitch of her scream. Fans thought she was just naturally energetic. But in reality, she was a 24/7 performance, designed to be loud, lovable, and impossible to ignore. And that system worked until she grew up. The moment JoJo tried to take control of her image, as a young adult exploring sexuality, maturity, even just normalcy, the machine panicked. The brand didn't know what to do with a grown-up JoJo. So what happened? She pivoted, hard. From childhood clown to rebellious bad girl, she started saying outrageous things in interviews, wearing lingerie on stage, and rage-baiting the internet with every post. And yet, even now, it doesn't feel like JoJo is in control. Not really. In 2024, she revealed on a podcast that she was pushed into faking wild behavior during a tour. She was instructed to act drunk, reckless, out of control, all for laughs. She didn't say no. She never really learned how. And here's the disturbing part. That trad wife act, the sudden switch to submissive housewife, it might also be part of the script. Because when you've spent your entire life being told who to be, who are you, really? Next came the rebrand, and it was the internet's biggest car crash. JoJo Siwa didn't just pivot, she collided with her own identity at full speed. Overnight, the girl who once shouted, "I'm the CEO of gay pop," was now wearing red lipstick, vintage curls, and giggling about marriage on live television. Gone were the rainbows and rebellious energy. In came a raspy-voiced 1950s housewife fantasy, and no one knew what the hell was going on. And then came Betty Davis eyes. JoJo's cover of the iconic song dropped like a flaming anvil on the internet. Fans called it auto-tuned agony. Some compared it to RFK Jr. yelling into a trash can. One viral comment read, "She sounds like a rusty chainsaw and a dying seagull had a baby." But it wasn't just the vocals, it was the performance. In a live show, JoJo changed the lyrics to Chris Hughes' eyes. Yes, Chris, the boyfriend she'd been dating for maybe a week. She sang it while grinding, stomping, and doing dances that looked more like seizures than choreography. And people didn't laugh. They cringed hard. Comments flooded in calling it embarrassing, unhinged, and painfully desperate. Even hardcore fans were asking the same question, what happened to her? It wasn't rebellion anymore. It was a complete character rewrite. And worse, it didn't feel real. It felt designed. Every movement, every giggle, every submissive stare, it was like watching a bad actor play a role they didn't believe in. But the question is, who wrote the script? Because it wasn't just a rebrand, it was a full-on identity swap. And at the center of it all was a man named Chris. Chris Hughes is 32. JoJo Siwa just turned 22. That's a full decade apart. But it's not just the age gap that has people unsettled, it's the power gap. They met on Celebrity Big Brother, a pressure cooker environment with cameras on 24/7. JoJo was already reeling from backlash, heartbreak, and a very public identity crisis. Chris swooped in like a knight in vintage denim, comforting her after a homophobic meltdown from Mickey Rourke that left her in tears. Fans call it trauma bonding. Psychologists call it emotional vulnerability. Either way, what followed felt fast and off. Just days after leaving the show, they were posting couple selfies, calling each other soulmates, and talking about marriage. In interviews, JoJo looks up at him like he's her manager. Her voice softens, her opinions vanish. And he loves the spotlight. He's called himself an old-fashioned man who believes in marriage, babies, and timeless love. JoJo, who just last year was rejecting all labels and raging on stage, now coos about wanting kids, dresses like June Cleaver, and drops lines like, "I'm just a softie." It's like watching someone change religions overnight. And when fans pointed it out, Chris got defensive fast. He claimed it was disrespectful to question their relationship and insisted their age gap didn't matter. But the internet disagreed loudly. One comment said, "She's acting like a trained puppy. He gives the cue, she performs." And another harsher one, "He's 32, she's 22. This isn't romance. This is grooming with good lighting." Even if it's technically legal, fans can't shake the feeling that something deeper is off. Because JoJo's entire life has been filled with adults who tell her what to be. Now she's dating one. And it gets even weirder when you see what happened to her identity the moment Chris came into the picture. The moment JoJo started dating Chris Hughes, something eerie happened. She didn't just fall in love, she vanished. Her bio lost all traces of pride flags. Her once loud and proud LGBTQ+ identity, muted. Her outfits, suddenly modest and themed like she time traveled to a 1956 Tupperware party. And during interviews, she would glance sideways at Chris before answering questions, like she was checking if it was okay to speak. For someone who spent years preaching empowerment and individuality, this wasn't evolution. It looked like submission. Fans started putting the pieces together. Was JoJo being manipulated? Controlled? Maybe not physically, but emotionally, subtly, consistently? One comment read, "She looks like she's following instructions, like she's in a music video she didn't sign off on." Others noticed how her speech changed, her tone, her laugh, even her beliefs. She started parroting Chris's old-school ideas about marriage and gender roles, despite once declaring herself too queer and too chaotic to ever be a wife. And now, she's on stage calling herself a princess and dedicating lyrics to a man she barely knew months ago. Critics and fans alike started throwing around a word that no one wanted to say out loud: grooming. Now, let's be clear, no one's accusing Chris of anything illegal. But emotional grooming, that's harder to spot and way easier to excuse. When someone grows up trained to say yes, to follow orders, to obey adult handlers, what happens when they enter a relationship that mirrors those dynamics? It doesn't have to be criminal to be concerning. Because at this point, the question isn't, is JoJo being manipulated? It's, has she ever been taught how to say no? And it wasn't just her relationship that changed. The LGBTQ+ community, her biggest supporters, started turning on her, too. JoJo Siwa once stood on stage and called herself the CEO of gay pop. She proudly claimed lesbian identity, waved rainbow flags, and told the world she would never go back. Now, she's dating a man, deleting pride symbols, dressing like a 1950s wife, and singing about Chris Hughes' eyes like it's her debut on American Bandstand. And the queer community? They noticed, and they're not happy. Fans who once saw JoJo as a fearless icon for Gen Z queerness now say she feels like a corporate plant, someone who used the rainbow for clout, then ditched it the moment it became inconvenient. It wasn't just the relationship, it was the timing. Her rebrand happened during Pride Month. Her most recent single erased every trace of her previous LGBTQ+ messaging. In past interviews, she said she didn't like the term lesbian, then called herself bisexual, then queer, then nothing. The confusion wasn't the issue, it was the convenient silence when she no longer needed the label. And fans felt used. One LGBTQ+ creator posted, "She capitalized on the gay identity when it served her, then wiped it clean to appeal to a broader audience. That's not growth, that's marketing." Some fans defended her, calling it part of figuring herself out, but others saw a pattern. JoJo used bold identities as branding tools, then dropped them when it no longer fit the story. This wasn't a personal journey. It looked like a pivot strategy, and what made it worse? She didn't address the community at all. No clarity, no statement, just a quiet bio change and a trad wife music video. The same fans who once cheered her bravery now question her loyalty, and the ones she inspired now feel like she sold them out for a boyfriend and a billboard spot. But the betrayal wasn't just emotional. Some say it was intentional and orchestrated for maximum clicks. At first, JoJo's rebrand looked like a meltdown, but the more people watched, the more it looked calculated. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The worse she performs, the more views she gets. Her Bette Davis Eyes cover, clowned across the internet, millions of likes, stitches, duets, parodies. She changed the lyrics to Chris Hughes' Eyes and the internet imploded. That video alone pulled 34 million views. Suddenly, people started asking, is JoJo actually trolling us for engagement? Every cringe performance, every awkward live stream, every overly intimate post with Chris, all of it just happens to go viral. And the cherry on top? A fake pregnancy rumor dropped casually in a Two Truths and a Lie game, right before releasing her new single. Coincidence? Or expertly timed rage bait? It doesn't stop there. JoJo launched a pay-to-join community on TikTok. £9 a month for exclusive content. What do you get? Short clips, sticker emojis, maybe a live stream if you're lucky. But fans noticed something sketchy. She's made millions, toured the world, and still pushes this $10 a month club that offers barely anything new. Just pre-recorded fluff and vague promises. The comment section was flooded with kids asking, "Will JoJo message me if I join?" Spoiler alert, she won't. People started calling it what it is, a money grab. And when you look at the pattern, it all fits. She does something wildly out of character to get cooked online to rides the viral wave to monetizes the chaos. It's not artistry, it's strategy. And while JoJo may be smiling in interviews, one thing is clear. Her career is now powered by controversy. But she's not the only one who profits from this mess, because every chaotic step she takes is just another paycheck for the people around her. Chris Hughes isn't the first older figure in JoJo's life who raised eyebrows. Take a closer look, and you'll see a pattern. A string of older mentors, friends, and collaborators who all seemed to take JoJo under their wing, and then left fans deeply uncomfortable. There was Colleen Ballinger, 20 years older, who JoJo called her best friend. Then Shane Dawson, a controversial YouTuber with a history of problematic content, who once joked about JoJo's home and personal life on camera. Even James Charles, during the height of his own controversies, was photographed playfully doing JoJo's makeup when she was still a minor. At the time, fans brushed it off as YouTube crossovers, but looking back, it paints a strange picture. A teen girl constantly surrounded by adults, and rarely, if ever, her own age. JoJo's always been drawn to older figures. Maybe she saw them as safe. Maybe she craved mentorship. Or maybe, just maybe, she was conditioned to listen to adults who praised her, protected her, and told her what to do. Which brings us back to Chris. Because now he's not just her boyfriend, he's her co-star, co-interviewee, even her public voice at times. And when you watch them together, it doesn't feel like an equal partnership. It feels like he's guiding her, steering her, framing the narrative. And JoJo, she leans in, smiles, nods, follows. Some fans are calling it out as a lavender relationship, a pairing built more for appearance than romance. Others say it's just another marketing ploy, another grown-up choosing to benefit from her brand while shaping it from the shadows. Because whether it's mentors, managers, or boyfriends, the pattern is the same. Older figures take the wheel. JoJo smiles in the passenger seat. And now the internet is asking, has she ever truly driven her own story? We've seen public meltdowns before, Britney shaving her head, Amanda Bynes disappearing, Miley swinging naked on a wrecking ball. But JoJo Siwa's transformation is different. Because it doesn't feel chaotic. It feels calculated. Every cringe moment, every viral disaster, every uncomfortable interview, somehow it all turns into exposure, into money, into content. Is she spiraling? Or is this a new kind of fame, one that thrives on humiliation? She's already admitted she was pushed to act drunk and crazy on stage. She's hinted that her entire persona was crafted by others. And now, she's entered an era where even her worst performances become her biggest hits. If this is a breakdown, it's one that's being monetized, filmed, and possibly directed by the people closest to her. But if it's a plan, then JoJo Siwa may have figured out the darkest cheat code in the influencer world. Be so bad that people can't stop watching. Her rebrand has become a reality show. Her relationship is a headline generator. Her identity, sexual, musical, emotional, is up for grabs as long as it trends. And the most disturbing part? We're all participating in it. Watching, clicking, commenting, feeding the machine that may be slowly chewing her up, while she smiles for the camera and says, "It's fine." But is it? Because what's happening here isn't just a career shift, it might be something much darker. JoJo Siwa may be 22, but emotionally? She still looks like that glitter-covered kid on Dance Moms, smiling, spinning, and performing on cue. She's danced her way through childhood stardom, queer icon status, viral fame, and now into a role that feels eerily scripted, the submissive housewife. From bold and unapologetic to muted and malleable, it's not just a shift, it's a regression. And whether it's a PR stunt, a coping mechanism, or the influence of an older man, one thing is painfully clear. JoJo Siwa no longer seems to be making decisions for herself. She's being packaged again, marketed again. This time not as a child star, but as a nostalgic fantasy for someone else's gain. Is it grooming? Is it emotional manipulation? Or is it just what happens when a life has been micromanaged from the moment it began? Because when you've been trained since age 6 to perform, please, and profit, how do you ever stop? How do you know who you are? JoJo's fans are watching. Some are laughing, some are cringing, but many are asking the real question. Is this the real JoJo Siwa, or just another role she's been told to play? Maybe she's free, maybe she's not. But if we've learned anything from child stars before her, it's that sometimes the spotlight doesn't just blind, it burns.